Welcome to the Down There Where podcast. I'm Amy Milne. This is the show where we get loud about women's below-the-belt health from menstruation to menopause and everything in between. So many women continue to silently endure issues like endometriosis, PCOS, menstrual disorders, and menopause-related challenges without the proper support. We're done with the whispers. We're here to break the taboos, share the stories, and have the conversations no matter how uncomfortable. Whether you're dealing with your own health journey, supporting someone who is, or just ready to join the movement, you're in the right place. Let's get loud. Okay, I might even start crying already. I'm really excited to have Natalie on the podcast with me today. We're going to spend the next little while talking about all sorts of things. It's going to run from like drying underwear to wearing underwear to all the things that happen underneath the underwear. I mentioned, if you've listened to my episode, I mentioned that part of the motivation for starting the Down There Affair started because of my best friend RJ telling me about his daughter and the struggles she was having. And this happens to be the daughter. So I am super excited to welcome Natalie Jeanson to the Down There Where podcast today. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I didn't know my mom and friend heart was going to like burst instantly.
You almost made me start crying. I'm like, already? We just started.
Right? Well, I mean, we have been getting to know each other, and I do know there's like rage in our future in this conversation. So, we'll get the soft stuff out and then we'll move down the road.
Yeah.
Um, so, Natalie, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself and tell our audience who's listening to us? Who are you?
So my name's Natalie. I do creative direction and assist with the Down There Fair. And I am a graphic designer. I work in branding. I am 25, turning 26 next week. So maybe by the time this comes out, I will have turned 26.
Yeah.
I live in Woodstock, Ontario. I grew up here. As you know now, my dad's name is RJ, and I met Amy through my dad, and my lovely stepmom, Sandra.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I connected basically based off of my own aspirations in marketing, but as well as my own health journey and struggles with chronic pain. So, yeah, that's how we connected.
Absolutely. And I have to call out right away this like lovely large pair of underwear behind me. Our logo and all the branding you will see for the Down There Fair is care of Natalie. I had an idea for this event for the Down There Fair, and I literally drew a pair of underwear on a piece of paper and said, Natalie, can you work your magic? And she has. So once you finish listening to this incredible conversation, you are definitely going to want to go over and check out the event, not just because of the event, but also to see Natalie's incredible work. So, yes, as we've shared, we have a familial connection, and your dad started. I think he shared with you at a couple of years ago, as you started to share that you were suffering with some pain that had been undiagnosed. That he had shared, because I'm very open about it, that I also suffered. And so, kind of via your dad for a couple of years, we were back and forth in terms of like, Natalie's feeling like this. What should we do here? And then we just finally said,
Yeah.
we love you, RJ, but let's take you out of the middle here and let's connect. And so,
Yeah.
um, Natalie, you have suffered pain for a significant amount of time. And I think when we talk about rage, it's when we're talking about feminine rage, it's because for a really long time, you didn't know why you were in pain. Nobody was helping you. Tell us about your journey there.
Yeah, so, like, I'll be front now, like, it's easier to explain kind
Mhm.
of I haven't had, like, an official diagnosis, but I've had concerns that I've been struggling with endometriosis for, I would say, as soon as I've gotten my very first period, so around when I was 13, 14 years old, and it's just progressively gotten worse since then. I would say everything really kind of kicked off and my life started changing. I would say, like, 2019. I was playing sports competitively, at the university level, and when I stopped playing, that's kind of when my whole body, like, changed, and when I went off of birth control for the first time since I was, like, 16, so that was a lot to take in at once when your health just completely changes from being basically the most fit I've ever been in my life to, uh, basically my whole life altering. Um, yeah, I'm actually in a flare up right now for endo, so I feel like I'm gonna be more emotional than normal, but at the same time, I think that level of vulnerability is, like, needed, in a conversation like this because I hope someone can take what I have to say and either learn from it or, take a step to set themselves up for success or to advocate for themselves. But I also have been struggling with PCOS as well. And that's been kind of its own journey on top of the other pain that I've been having. And those two, I mean, there's symptoms for both of those that coincide with each other, but also are completely independent of each other. And so to try and decipher those two like symptom brackets of pain, um, and try to understand what's happening and when it's all happening at once is very, very difficult. And that kind of puts your body into like a dysregulation where you're basically constantly in a trauma response. And so it's life altering. Like you can't really comprehend it without getting help. And I've been overlooked many times. Like I have advocated for myself to my doctors and all of these things. And it wasn't until like 2 weeks ago that I got blood work done and was able to kind of get a 95% diagnosis of PCOS. And I had to do that through going through a naturopath. So I had to pay the money to be able to do that,
Right.
which is
So
really difficult.
from 2019, absolutely, and it's really unfortunate that at the end of the day, we often have to, we're lucky enough that you and I both live in Canada and Ontario, and we have healthcare. Um, on my journey currently, as I'm navigating surgical menopause and where you're at, most of the answers that I have found, and now what you're saying as well, is that you actually have to pay for those answers, which is gross. It's not okay. I mean, I think integrated care is really important, and I think both sides of the coin, have something to offer us, but the fact that one side is not offering you anything, and I'm not smiling with, joy, it's like frustration. It's like,
Yeah.
everything in my being is, my blood is boiling for what you are dealing with when I dealt with it 35 years ago. It is so like, I don't even have words for how upsetting it is that you're dealing with it in the same way and being ignored. So you basically from 2019, because it's 2026, so that's a long time, especially when you're 25, that you've literally had no answers until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I still like, that's only half of the
Right.
battle. Like, I only have half the answers, which is, PCOS, which explains half of my symptoms, versus, like, I'm like, for example, like, I'm in a flare-up now where I kind of am able to identify that it's more endometriosis type symptoms,
Mhm.
um, and I'm able to identify that now, but I haven't been able to identify that for a very long time. Um, and so to be in that now and still not have answers as to why it's hard to go to work, how it's hard to get up in the morning, um, and the pain is getting worse is um, I don't even know how to describe it other than discouraging.
Yeah, that's a very nice word. I would say it's fucked up, personally.
Yes, yes. They
Um,
are valid.
like, that's where I would go, but that's me. Um, so Natalie, you say flare up. What does that mean? What does that feel like for you? So for our listeners, someone might be starting to identify with what you're saying. And so
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I mean, I can kinda go from the beginning
Please.
because, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, and when you kind of start to learn, your body and understand your body as an adult, and you look back to yourself as a child, or an adolescent, you don't really realize that there's signs that you've been basically gaslit to know that, or to be told that they're normal, and they're completely bullshit. Like, that's not normal at all. Um, so I would say, like, when I was first getting my period, I had, like, severely irregular and heavy periods when I was young, and I would get cyclical pain outside of my period. So I would have so much bad back pain, pelvic pain, numbness shooting down my legs, as a child. And um, as a competitive athlete, like I was playing hockey at the time and basketball, just kind of going into that grade 9, grade 10 year. And I was training in my summers, and so I vividly remember, and I look back on this, I would go and do, kinda like weightlift training, which is a level of exertion that your muscles should feel, but not so much that your, like, cardio should feel. You shouldn't feel out of breath, you shouldn't feel weakness, like, you're lifting based off of what your strength is, and so you shouldn't feel muscle weakness when that happens, or, like, numbness or pain or excruciatingly bad cramps, and
Right.
so at that time, I was going and I was working with the trainer, because I took competitive sports seriously, and, I remember calling my mom, being like, I had to stop working out, I was bawling my eyes out, and I was like, "I have the worst like, cramps ever, like, I feel like I'm gonna faint, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, like, I shouldn't feel this way when I'm exerting myself in a healthy way."
Right.
Um and, I mean, there wasn't a lot of talk about this back then, so for my mom, it wasn't even really, and she worked in healthcare, and so
Mhm.
it wasn't something that she was even like, "Oh, this is a concern for me." It was like, "Okay, maybe you might be getting your period soon," because at that time, you're just a kid and you're slowly just getting your period for the first time, so, like, those symptoms were so severe at such a young age, um, and irregular and out of, with the window of cycle, like, it wasn't during my period that I was having those period cramps,
Right.
and I mean, my dad and Sandra can attest for it. One of the first times I got my period, I was in Toronto. My dad had to drive me from, London to Toronto. We were going to stay at Sandra's house, and she had to sit down and have a conversation with me about pain, and, I was taking, like, 2 extra strength to 3 extra strength Advils. Like, that's not fucking normal.
No. And nor is it likely helping. Like,
No,
and
it barely
likely
touched
it
the
right,
pain. Like,
right,
I was hunched over, couldn't leave the house, had to lay under a towel, had to take a bath, had to have heat on me.
right.
Um, and so when I started having those symptoms and they're like, "Okay, well, let's just throw birth control on that."
And I'm not laughing,
So
I'm like, literally, this is like the shit I was told. I'm 50, almost 50. How old am I? I don't even I keep forgetting what year. I think I'm 52, or I will be 52, and I it it's just it's absolutely absurd to me. It's the exact same conversation. Like, it's so
yeah,
sad. It's so
and,
sad.
like, so then, like, fast forward to adolescence when, like, I'm taking the pill,
Mhm.
I had, like, multiple allergic reactions to the pill. So, like, I was flip-flopping between pills pretty often, and then, I finally found one that kinda worked and sort of made me regular, but, like, not really, and the thing is that if you're having that type of period pain and you take a pill, like, most of the time, if you're being prescribed the pill because you have that pain, it should take it away.
Right.
And, okay, well, I wasn't getting my period then, but I was still getting excruciatingly bad pain around my period, around ovulation, throughout my cycle, so much so that I struggle. I mean, I pushed through the pain, but
Right.
I communicated that this was something that I was dealing with, and it was just like, "It's just normal, like, you just gotta take Advil, or you just gotta push through it," and so, as a competitive athlete at the time, like, you're pushing through that pain during games, you're pushing through that pain during tests. And no one talks about how much that fucks up your hormones or makes your body completely dysregulated that it feels like it's in fight or flight constantly. So you're not able to regulate your hormones properly. You're not able to, and so I suffered very severely with anxiety. Like I always felt like on edge, like I was kind of shaky. Um, and it just deteriorates confidence 100%. Um, and then I went and I played at the university level, but I would say this is kind of more in the endo frame, but I would say kind of into like 2017, 2018 is when I started experiencing more PCOS symptoms.
Mhm.
So I would say like hair growth on my face, like abnormal hair growth, my hair, like the texture of my hair, super unhealthy. And I never really dyed my hair. So I was
Mhm.
like au natural all the time. I mean, I suffered from pretty bad acne, and I know that I was playing sports at a high level, but I hadn't suffered from acne before that, and
Right.
I still played sports at a high level.
Right, you
Uh,
can't really be like, "Oh, all of a sudden you've got a zit because you are a competitive athlete." Like, I
yeah,
don't know how that I'm sure someone could have told
yeah,
you that what it meant, but it's, like, not at
yeah.
all.
And then you suffer from, like, food cravings, but then you also suffer from, like, food aversion as well, like, the thought of food makes you feel ill, um, and I had a very healthy lifestyle, but, I mean, they'll tell you that PCOS is a metabolic change is the first step you have to take to getting better is a metabolic change, and 100% that's accurate. Um, but at the time, I was struggling with these things, not realizing that the level of sports I was playing was the thing keeping everything at bay. Because I was practicing 3 hours a day and hitting a weight room for an hour, and I was exerting myself so much that my body could never catch up.
Right.
But I struggled at practice because I was more exhausted than everybody else. I was having a hard time putting on muscle. I was having a hard time, like, lifting in the gym, and I thought it was just me. Like, I genuinely thought it was just me, and I suffered from performance anxiety. Like, there's so much damage that it does to your hormone levels that it completely affects the way that you perform, the way you show up every single day. Um, and yeah, as soon as so then kind of fast forward to COVID, um, I started getting another allergic reaction to the same birth control that I had been on since high school. Um, and I decided like I'm so fucking done. Like I'm done. Like I'm not taking it anymore. So
Mhm.
I went off of it. Um, and mind you, like I had just finished kind of playing basketball and was in the like, most fit I had been in my life, and I still was experiencing the same excruciating pain in relation to endo, but that's when, like, basically severe weight gain started happening, and I mean, that's really hard to talk about, but, like, every time I would get a period, I would gain 5 pounds and I wouldn't lose it,
Right.
and for someone that didn't change like, it's unexplained weight gain because I
Mhm.
didn't change anything in my life other than stopping sports, which still having an active lifestyle for a normal human being wouldn't make them gain that amount of weight in such a short period of time. And then
No.
you go to the doctor and you talk about that, and they just kinda tell you it's your lifestyle. And you're like, "Okay." But, like, it's also not normal for an average human being to exercise for 3 hours a day
No. No.
just to keep symptoms at bay. So it's like, I just think that there was a level of oversight that you're just completely unheard, completely unseen, and you just start to silence yourself because of that. And that's when I kinda started documenting everything. I'm like, "What I'm feeling is not normal." And that's when I started doing research and reading and, like, stuff online, and I was like, this is, like" people tell you not to do that, like, don't Google it, but, like, I did, and it was right. Like, it was
Right.
the exact I fit into that box, but they try to put you in boxes, like, the healthcare system tries to put you in boxes before you get that diagnosis that you need, because they need to rule things out. But that that process of putting you in boxes for 5 years just to get a diagnosis means you're suffering for 5 years with chronic pain.
And it's because at the end of the day, they weren't listening.
Exactly.
Like, you can put you in whatever box you want, Natalie. You're a very articulate young woman who did the work, who knew. I mean, one of the things that I always knew for myself is I know my body. You know your body. Like, just listening to you for the last, 20 minutes, I don't know many people who know their body as well as you do in the way that you've just articulated it. So if you're going to a doctor and you're like, "Hey, I'm not okay," those people aren't living in your body, you are.
Yeah.
And so they can put you in whatever box they fucking want. The problem is no one listened to you.
Yeah.
You were literally telling them what was wrong, and no
Yeah.
one listened.
So, like, with that too actually, I'm gonna grab it, one second. I have, can you still hear me?
Yep, sure can.
I have, I started a book, not writing, like, an actual
Yeah,
book, but I started
it could be. I feel like you could, and it would be great.
um, it says Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. Um, and at this time, this is around when I, like, stopped taking birth control and everything started getting fucked.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I remember talking to my mom about it, and she was like, "Hey, I see your concerns." Like, she saw me and she heard me, and she's like, "Write everything down. Like, be so anal about it, you write everything down." And I wrote literally everything down for months.
Well,
Um, I don't know if there's a date or anything. Let me see how far I went. Anyway, I I wrote everything down. I went to the doctor. I showed them this, every symptom that I felt, what I was eating, when I was eating it, like my lifestyle, um, activity. Like this one says I played basketball outside. This one says I went for a 5K walk. I went and I showed my doctor. It says I had oatmeal and brown sugar and for breakfast and pineapple. But I took this to my doctor and I said, like, "Take this, read it. These are my symptoms. This is what I've been struggling with." And their response was, "Okay, let's give you an IUD because 'cause that'll stop endo."
like, who said? Like, that's crazy.
Mhm.
So let's just put something else in your body
Yeah.
with hormones that we don't know how it's gonna react. Like, they literally, again, didn't listen, like, literally went, "Maybe she'll stop talking," and cover their ears, and the minute you stop talking, they just went, like, basically looked at their own
Yeah.
checklist and went, "So she's been on the pill, check, we can't give her that. Oh, but the next thing down the list is an IUD.
Exactly,
So
and
we're
this
just
is what
gonna
I
do
say
that."
by they try to put you in boxes until
Yeah,
you get to the point of needing a diagnosis, and it's like, "No, like, I needed it then. I didn't
yeah,
need it 5 boxes from now." And
no,
so, like, I brought I brought this to my doctor. They did do blood work. They did an ultrasound. They said, "If you have endo, it's gonna come up in an ultrasound." No, it doesn't.
no.
But, like, I was 20, so how was I to know? There's no education around it. Like, the doctor should be telling me, "Oh, this is a concern. Um, here's some educational material on it,
Right.
and we're gonna do the steps to figure out if this is something that you're dealing with, and not just put an IUD in you."
Well, and
So, I got
you were educating them, Natalie,
yeah,
this is what's so crazy is that you literally were doing the work for them. You have a book that already tells them exactly what
yes,
is wrong. Like,
yes,
there's I'm sure the medical field, those are trying to do right by us, and I know we're gonna meet some of them and hear from them, and I'm excited for you and for everybody else that gets to be on this journey through the Down There Aware podcast, because I feel like we're gonna find some people who are gonna listen to your story and be able to help you, which means they're gonna help others. However, the situation you're in right now is that you literally, like, like you gave them a gift. Like, there's no like, you
I'm
literally
like,
just
"I
need to
did your work for
Yeah,
you. Here,
exactly.
take it. Like, take it,
Yeah.
please."
Yeah, right, I don't want it. Like, this is for
Yeah,
you. I did this for you
yeah.
because you were gonna tell me I should write all the shit down, and I did, and now you're just gonna give me an IUD.
Yeah. So they ended up doing blood work. Obviously, nothing came back on that.
Right,
Um,
because it doesn't.
and they said they just did a regular screening of blood work. They weren't looking at the things they're supposed to be looking at for PCOS specifically either. Because I have the blood work.
Right,
And then I met with a gynecologist because they were the one that had to put my IUD in.
right,
And I said same thing with them. I sat down with them. I handed them the thing and they said, "Yeah, I think that if we put the IUD in, it's gonna solve, like, most of your symptoms." It hasn't. It honestly has made things worse because I have no cycle.
right,
Like, we're talking 70 days, if plus, of a cycle,
right.
which is, like, that's not normal. And I didn't so, like, once you have that experience or, like, I, like, can't go back to the same doctor.
No, and getting a doctor of any kind is not easy, and, you happen to live in a smaller community, so that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Right? It's and to find the expertise because I feel like you could go to almost every doctor on the block where you live and no one is helping you.
Yeah. I think that everyone's first concern was thyroid, and I was like, "I feel like I would know."
You're like, "I actually do know." Um,
Yeah.
I just wanna jump back for because there's a few things that you've said that I wanna make sure that, again, if someone's listening and they're like, "Oh, this is happening to me." So, you spoke of, allergy to the pill. What did that feel like? What did that look like? How did you know?
Like, I would get bladder infections all the time,
Mm.
like,
Oh, funny.
badly.
I used to get them all the time too and didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Huh,
bladder infections all the
interesting.
time, migraines,
Mhm.
very bad migraines. I just didn't feel like myself. Like,
Yeah,
I just felt like I was like a shell of like, I was having, like, an out of body experience all the time.
yeah.
Um, brain fog, um, like, acne, I would
Mhm,
say, uh, severe cravings, sometimes weight gain for some people. One of the
mhm,
pills made me have weight gain, the other one didn't. Um, but yeah, those are some of the symptoms that I experienced. Um, in terms of the IUD, it was like, this is a tangent and not really related, but, like, it was the most excruciatingly bad pain I've ever experienced having them put that in.
mhm,
I wish I was knocked out for it.
mhm.
And then I had to drive myself home.
Because nobody says it's gonna hurt, and if you say it's
They're
gonna
like, "Just"
hurt,
they say,
it's gonna
"Take
be
3
fine.
Advils before you come," and, like, I have chronic pain, so, like, I'm used to pain, and
Right.
I was, like, almost screaming. So, like, I feel bad saying that or scaring anyone, but, like,
No.
you shouldn't have to put that in your body.
Well, not in with pain. Like, if you're you and I think are on the spectrum of, like, what the fuck, and there are the folks and so grateful for the women who, do very well on the pill, and the IUD has been magical for them, and, you and that just wasn't our journey, and either way, no one should ever have to be in pain in a procedure, and, I'll tag this in the show notes, but if you haven't listened to it yet, Nat, you should. It'll come to me because every day is a game of charades because I can't think of the name right now because my brain fog is a real thing.
It's gonna
It'll
hit you
come
in,
to
like,
me.
20 minutes.
I know it'll come to me, but someone's listening going, "Hey, great, Amy, I'm figured it out. Great, I'm in surgical menopause." But I will tag it because it's a true story. It's a woman reporter who reports on a true story for women who were having it's called the retrievals because the it's a true story about women who are having eggs retrieved and the nurse was actually taking fentanyl. Um, I'm not giving away all the story. It's worth listening to. And then she does a second season, and it talks about women and the pain during C-section. And what I took from that is a woman who suffered chronic pain that no one acknowledged, um, was that just like our pain isn't acknowledged. And there's doctors are still giving us surgery and putting things in our bodies and thinking we're gonna just be okay. Because someone was. But again, it's like just because someone was okay,
Doesn't mean
like,
everybody
doesn't
will.
mean everybody will,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, my experience with the pill probably in my early days was pretty standard. I mean, I don't know, I was like you, I was dealing with pain and chomping Advils like they were candy and just trying to cope, and then I was put on the pill before my hysterectomy, and I was literally within 3 weeks of being on, I was in a drug-induced depression, and the doctor was like, "There's no way." I'm like, "But I know that because I was a depressed human
You
being."
weren't
So,
feeling that before, and you
no.
haven't gone through anything to provoke that.
No, and especially having suffered depression, severe depression as an adolescent, I knew the difference. I've done all the work. I've to be a healthy
Yeah.
human and to see the signs, and I was like, "Get this shit out of my fucking body." I would rather, similar to your sentiment, I would rather be in pain. I'd rather be curled up in a fucking ball than have that shit in my body and it be doing worse things.
Yeah. I'm still waiting to get mine out.
Why
I
can't you get it?
asked
Why can't you get it out?
So, to be fair, I have switched doctors now, and I'm beyond grateful for that, and the doctor that I'm currently with has been starting to take steps
Mm.
to support me in a treatment plan, and so, like, I'm very fortunate of that because any win is a win, any little win and baby step is a win,
Yep.
um, and so, um but to get it out, so they can either try to take it out, which they did, but the strings were cut too short, so they
Mm.
can't safely take it out, so then I had to get an ultrasound done to make sure it wasn't embedded,
Mhm.
so I got that done, and then they said that they were gonna scan for PCOS at that time, but basically what my naturopath said is based off of those scans, they don't think they did any thorough searching at all for it,
Right.
um, but that my IUD is in a fine position, it's just the strings are too short, but because the doctor already tried, I now have to get a gynecologist to do it
Right.
because that's the safest way to do it. But I don't want to go back to the previous gynecologist that I went to when I
Right.
got it put in because I got completely dismissed,
Right.
like my symptoms. And so I'm trying to get a new gynecologist, but basically just waiting for them to call me to book an appointment. But the amount of good gynecologists is, like, all the women are fighting for them.
Right, and, like, my gynecologist, she said to me, I saw her a couple months ago. I always think it's funny I have to go to a gynecologist when I don't have any plumbing anymore, but anyways, I'm grateful to see Dr. Thomas on a regular basis. I adore her. But, she said, "Great, we're talking about this now, and women like you and I are sharing our stories, and so women who don't know they need help are hearing us, and they're going to get help." And she's like, "Great, now my wait list is a year and a half." She's like, "So now
Yeah,
I have all these incredible women who are suffering and need my support, but I can't help them for a year and a half
yeah.
because
I'm
there's no money, like, there's no good education, there's not as many good people, and it's not very easy for us to find good people to help us. Like, we don't even know
yeah,
where they are if you're just starting from scratch and no one's guiding you, right?"
yeah, because you're going off of what other women are telling you. Like, the gynecologist that I'm trying to see is because, someone close to me said that they felt, like, safe and seen with them,
Right.
and my judgment is I only go with people that make me feel safe and seen, so
Yeah, because you've literally spent 10 years, if not a little bit more, so, more more than a third of your life, or about a third of more than a third of your life living in pain, being ignored, and gaslit and lied to and put in situations where you're in pain and just passed around.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's horrible.
It's pretty terrible.
And what's even more terrible is that you've actually tried to advocate for yourself and people haven't listened.
Yeah.
Like
My it's bad when so I know we talked about flare up and you kinda said, like, "What are you experiencing now?"
Mhm.
And I mean, this is kind of a nice transition because I would like to talk about, like, not just the healthcare industry, but, like, the workforce and all that kinda stuff too, because
Yep.
there's just no education in general. But, like, for right now, for example, like, I have my pain has moved from being just in my, like, pelvic floor, like, period
Mhm.
cramp like, severe period
Mhm.
cramps where you have stabbing-like pain,
Mhm.
um, to being so uncomfortable in your own skin that you feel claustrophobic. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And you
Interesting.
have so much inflammation that it hurts to stand. Um, Mornings are probably the hardest for me. Like, I wake
Mhm.
up in pain. You shouldn't wake up in pain after resting. I have excruciatingly bad back pain up to basically my shoulder blades
Mhm.
down. If I sit for too long, my legs go, like, numb, but not numb and, like, "Oh, you've sat on them for too long," like, numb, like, sharp shooting pain numb.
Mhm.
Um, and extremely nauseated, like, trying to eat anything, and it sucks because you need food to fuel your body. Like, you need
Yep.
and, like, when you're suffering from those symptoms which are endo-related and you have a metabolic hormonal disorder like PCOS, that you literally need food within 30
Mhm.
minutes of so I have insulin resistance with PCOS, and you have to eat within like, it's recommended that you eat within 30 minutes of waking up,
Right.
and you want to eat, like, nothing of sugar or carbs. So you wanna try to eat, like, eggs, like fruit, like yogurt, something
Uh-huh.
that is, like, of good protein, but also has, like, a low amount of sugar, just so that your insulin levels don't spike, which
Right.
is, like, a whole thing that we can get into after. Um, but when you have the chronic pain related to endo, where if you literally eat food, you're gonna throw up, it just puts your whole body into, like, this endless cycle of just not being okay,
Mhm.
and it's, like, the most discouraging thing, like, discouraging doesn't even describe how it makes you feel. Like, it makes you feel like you have no control over your body at all,
'Cause you
and
don't.
then you because you don't, and then you have people that are completely dismissing you because it's not visual pain. And this
Mhm.
is gonna be a super hot take, but if I went and told someone I had cancer, they'd be jumping on the bit to help me, and it's like, the level of pain that I am struggling with, in some ways, can be of the same level as someone that is suffering from cancer, and that's a proven fact.
Yeah.
Um, because as more research has come to light about endo,
Absolutely.
um and it's not something that has a cure. Like, you can get surgery once, and then you still might have to get another lap done later on.
Mhm.
Um, and for those of you who don't know, the only diagnosis of endometriosis is laparoscopic surgery. So
Mhm.
try convincing your doctor to spend the money to do surgery on you.
Mhm.
And if it is gonna be a regular diagnosis for women, I really fucking hope the answer that they come up with is not that women have to get laparoscopic surgery every time they get a pap smear done, because that's
Right.
pretty fucked up.
Well, and I hope one day when I mean, you and I will be able to educate the doctors and the people that need to help us, and we need to, be the rallying cry for all of the other women, um, as we best can. I I had multiple, laparoscopies, and I look at it like there's no problem going in and getting, um oh my god, this is where my brain goes because it's but what are we doing when we go to get, your colon checked. Like, what do we go in the hospital?
Colonoscopies?
Colonoscopy. There we go. See, every day is a game of charades, but we're like, we're winning.
It's
We're
okay.
winning.
I'm here for you.
We got each other. But you go for a colonoscopy, that still needs an operating room. That still needs a general anesthetic. I understand having had laparoscopies, and I know absolutely there is a variety of how invasive those laparoscopies can be. Um, However, if you're looking at space and time, and it's pretty similar. So maybe if you do, you know, 8 colonoscopies in a day, maybe in an operating room, you might only be able to do 4 or 5 laparoscopies depending on the degree of what the woman is suffering from. But wouldn't that be better?
Oh,
Like, and if
100%.
and if and if now if
100%.
you can, like, aren't some of the operating rooms that used to do colonoscopies a little less busy now that you can, like, poop on a stick and send that in? Like,
Yes.
there's gotta be, like, it's like, what how can you not? Like, it's a day surgery at
Yeah.
the end of the day. Like, all the laparoscopies I had, or the times I was, like, hung from I felt like a meat rack because they weren't sure if it was on my bladder or my bowels. So the things that, like, the way that, like, I don't know, but I was in and out in a day, just like I have been when I've had a colonoscopy. So I don't I mean, these are the things that we're demanding, and these are the things that our voices are gonna help be louder about, and
Yes.
we're as we join forces with all the women before us, and with us now, and for the women, like, you were my breaking point in terms of wanting to advocate really hard and put my whole business and kind of life on the line right now, business, like, because knowing that your story is so similar to mine with the gap of years between us. I know I look 25, but I'm not. Um, but there's a significant amount of fucking time between you and me.
Mhm.
And
Mm,
honestly, Nat, you will eventually
mm,
go and listen
mm.
to my episode, and you'll be like, check the box, check the box, check the box. You've actually had a worse journey. Like, your journey is different. I don't want to say we're worse. We're different, but we have a lot of fucking similarities, and it shouldn't be that similar in my, and I'm sure your opinion. It shouldn't be that similar with the amount of time between when you and when I have been dealing with it.
Yeah. No, I agree. This is kinda, like, separate from everything, but I'm, like, beyond grateful that we're even to, like, sit here and have this conversation because, like, I felt so lost in what I
Mhm.
was experiencing with really no, like I had no more motivation to advocate for myself. I was
Fuck
just like,
no.
this is something that I'm gonna have to learn to accept and live with for the rest of my life."
Right.
Um, and then being able to meet you and, like, have the conversation and, like, I'm a creative person, so you make me do anything creative related to something I'm passionate about, and I'm, like, all for it, and so being able to be part of this and, like, put my experience to something that has meaning, um, I'm just, like, beyond grateful for. I just, like so one of the things I wanna say is, like, this is very 0 to 100 for me doing a podcast because I don't
Yep.
talk about what I'm struggling with, like I said, like, 10 people no, not even 10, what
Mm.
I deal with, like, every day, and so to not talk about it at all, to then going on a podcast to talk about it is kind of insane, so there's a little bit of imposter syndrome with that, but I just think that, like, my experiences matter and everybody's
Oh, yeah.
experiences matter, and so, like, as much as this is hard to talk about today, I'd rather take the hurdle of talking about the hard things if it's gonna help somebody, and if
Mhm.
it's gonna make some sort of difference for another woman or another young girl that's, like, experiencing what I experienced. Um, and so I am beyond grateful that you've been able to be an advocate and, find an avenue for me to kinda channel that, and I'm really grateful for that, and I hope that when people listen to this episode and listen to this podcast or follow us on social media that, um, they can take that you have, like, changed my life, and so I hope that we are able to do that for other people, and that it's real. Like, this is a real movement, and we really,
Mhm.
really, 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 really wanna make change,
Yep.
and if your connection with me is not proof of that, I don't really know what is. You know
Well,
what I
at the
mean?
end of the day, you and I are the only ones who ever listen and are part of this conversation, which I know will not be the case. Then I feel seen, and to be able to see you is and to know you feel seen is, like, fills my heart because
Yeah.
as humans, we deserve to be seen, and
Mhm.
what you've shared, you haven't, and that is not
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And thank you. And you spoke of imposter syndrome, and I wanna touch on that because I think it's really interesting because I know what you're about to say is gonna be important.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote some notes, so I'm just gonna kinda look at them because I don't wanna get too I might get a little emotional about it, but, um, when you suffer from chronic pain or you suffer from a level of pain that's been dismissed or you've been gaslit into thinking that it's normal, or you basically develop habits to when people silence you,
Mhm,
you begin to start doing that yourself, and so it be like, I am a perfect example of, like, this is something that I've been dealing with that I've pushed down so far that it got to a point where I was just like, "It's not actually happening." Like,
mhm,
it's not happening, or if I just pretend like it's not happening, then I don't have to face it. Um, and so there's, like, a level of trying to, like, talk about these things that makes like, I'm not the person that has all the answers, but I do have life experience, and I think that, um, for a lot of women, they may feel like they can't talk about their experiences because they've been invalidated so much, and
mhm.
then I think that's kinda where the imposter syndrome comes in. It's like, "Well, this person's experiencing that, but I don't feel like I have the ability to communicate what I need or advocate for myself or even just, like, have candid conversation about what you're experiencing." Like, there's this stigma around it. Um, and so I've really, really battled with feeling like, "Oh, like, I'm not the knower of all things, and I don't really have all the answers." Um So, like, why should I be going on a pod and talking about it? But I have the life experience, and I think that because women have been so invalidated for so long about these symptoms, we've had to rely on each other to, like, educate each other and, like, have those hard conversations and talk about things to, like, be able to make change, and I think that the more that we do that, the better things are, and honestly, this podcast is just, like, another example of that. So that was kind of what I just kept, like, reminding myself about. Um, but the other thing too I was gonna say is that sorry, I'm just gonna reference my notes quickly.
You're allowed.
Um,
It's a lot.
I think the more that, like, you dismiss yourself, like, you're risking the sicker of you getting, because like, for endometriosis, it can get worse,
Mhm.
and I mean, PCOS can as well in different ways. Um, and so the more you pretend like it's not happening, um the worse it's gonna get. And I just think that if you live in the imposter syndrome, like, what's harder, living in it or, like, doing the thing that you're completely scared of, which is talking about it? Um, so I'm ready to talk about it, you know what I mean?
Well, and I'm so grateful that you are because when you don't talk about it, the imposter syndrome I hear is, and I felt a lot of it as well, and where our stories parallel again, and it's because you start, you've been told for so long that you're not sick, or there's nothing wrong with you. So then, but you identify as a person with, like, pain, and it's not who you are, but it's a part of who you are. And when that part of you's been completely ignored, and then all of a sudden you're like, is that pain real? Like, I don't even know. And so how can I even talk about it if I don't actually really have that pain? Because maybe it's fake. And that's to me where you start to go like, who am I to talk about this? Because people won't believe me. They're not believing me.
Yeah.
And add the stigmas and the embarrassment that we have as women to talk about anything below the belt. Right? It's literally like I had a girlfriend who's in her 50s. Or sorry, I lie. She won't be happy with that. I won't say her name now, so she doesn't know that I was messing that up. But she's like in her late 40s, and she literally said to me a couple of years ago, she's like, I almost didn't come to your house because I have my period. And she like literally covered her mouth. And I was like, it's
Oops.
what? Are we like seriously? Like, I don't get
Mm.
this. Like, why are we still doing that?
Yeah.
And I think the other part, the hardest part and what's so beautiful about what we're doing and you being brave enough to have this and the courage to have this conversation and as because I'm a big fan of all ships rise when we do this is that we all of a sudden get to become a part of a community that cares and we get to bring all the ladies with us and we get to
Yeah.
bring our movement will bring the ladies that and the men, because we can talk about those in a second, all the ladies with us that are, comfortable talking to you and to me and, maybe wearing their underwear or their underwear over a pair of running tights, when it comes to the actual event. But if we don't, if we don't start the conversation, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And what happens when you don't is that Natalie, live getting, you're still in pain and you just start to feel more and more alone. And then that's a shitty thing because then all of a sudden now we're dealing with a whole whack of other shit, um,
Yeah.
when we're living our lives in our heads.
Yeah. I think it's so important for women to talk about it and connect the dots because
Mhm.
that's the only way that, like, change is gonna happen. Um, and I know I already mentioned that, but I think the thing that upsets me the most and honestly makes me wanna curl up into a ball and cry is the fact that I'm not the only person that has been so invalidated from healthcare professionals, workplaces, whatever that looks like, that their pain just because it's not visible is therefore not important, and by doing that to someone, you're gaslighting them, and so
Mhm.
they're eventually gonna believe you,
Yep.
and it's like, to come out of that your body's already in a trauma response
Yeah.
physically, and
Totally.
then you're putting them in a mental, like, chokehold as
Yeah.
well, um, and no person deserves to feel that.
No.
But
No.
I just think that, like, if anybody is feeling, like, the same things that I felt, even not just in terms of pain, but, like, in terms of that imposter syndrome that, like, your pain is valid, your pain is real, it's
Mhm.
serious, it matters. It's like, I'm done like, I'm here for you. Come to the
Yep.
event and come say hi to me, and I'll talk to you about it, like,
Or
I
just send
don't
you a DM once they listen to this
Yeah.
episode because you're there, like, you'll make
Yeah,
it happen.
I just want as soon as women start getting loud and being bold and, like, taking those steps to go, like, "Hey, I'm experiencing this too, like, me too," and it's already started, and it's
Mhm.
beautiful, and it's so exciting, the amount of creators that I've seen that have platforms that are, like, educating about it. I've learned from other people,
Right.
um, and so being able to go, "Oh, like, this is what I'm experiencing," and, like, say it loud and proud, and don't be afraid of it because that's the only thing that's gonna make any sort of change or poke the bear or
Yeah.
make any waves, you know? And so, yeah, like, like, there's one creator, I didn't even know what insulin resistance was.
Right.
And then I was like, that explains every single amount of weight gain that I've been dealing with for the past 6 years.
Right.
And then I finally got my blood work done, and it's like, "Yeah, you have a absurdly high amount of insulin resistance or high insulin. So, like, I have insulin resistance. Okay, like, now I can do things to I can, within months, start doing the work to make myself feel better.
Right.
But, like, it shouldn't have taken 5 years to be able to do that.
Or scroll on Instagram,
Yeah. Or scroll on
right?
Instagram to
Like,
hear from another creator,
right
yeah.
after you've been telling, I mean, and grateful, and that's storytelling, and that's the lore, and that's all the things that we're gonna get to do for one
Yes,
another, and that, while this isn't, the Down There Where podcast is not the first one to talk about women's below the belt health, it's just the way we're gonna talk about it. It's the way we're putting it out to the world, which will attract the women that need to be in our circle, who are then gonna, stand next to the ones who started the Endo podcast and all the other, and then we are literally gonna get to a point where we can no longer be ignored,
yes,
and we've gotta do it together, and I wanna do it with other females, and I really think it's important, and part of our what we wanna do as well, and is do it with men and boys as well, and I think,
100%.
you have a dad who, is an unbelievable supporter and your biggest freaking fan,
I called him
and
yesterday.
and his heart swells, like, out of his body when we just say your name. I mean, that man loves you to bits and pieces. You have a partner who's living with it, living with you, living through this pain. I had the same thing. I'm raising 2 boys who've lived with a mom with chronic pain. Like, you spoke a little bit about workplace, and if we work with men, and like, if we could surround ourselves with women, we'd probably be all right, but we can't, and we do like the men because those of us, have got good men in our lives, but we need to educate them, because if we're not fucking educated, how are they supposed to be educated? And
Yeah, and
so go ahead.
it's so out of the territory. Sorry, I wasn't trying to
No,
interrupt.
that's
It
okay.
just
You
I
get
get
excited.
enraged. This is where I get enraged. Um, there's just a level of, um there's the advocates that we need to get loud to get the people that feel apprehensive to get loud on board. And I think that, like, the men in our lives that live with us, like my dad, for example, my partner, advocacy section.
Bless you.
Like my dad and my partner, they have been like my number one supporters in believing me because they see
Mhm.
me every day and they see things change and so like having that level of advocacy is so important. Um Honestly, any human being should be supporting this. Um
Yep.
but I bring your dogs, I don't care. But there's also a level of like ignorance that just absolutely infuriates me. And it's just like there's been so many times where you've been, um, where I sorry, there's been so many times where I have been in a position of advocating for myself, putting myself on the line to say, like, "This is something I'm struggling with," and been told not by healthcare providers, but just like, "Okay," but, like, not asking questions about, like, "What do I need?" It's just like, there's just a level of, like, not even trying to understand where
Right.
I'm coming from and, like, what I need.
Mm,
Um, can I just pause for 1 second?
yeah.
He asked if he could cook dinner.
Yes. Please make
Yes,
us
yes,
dinner.
he can. Just make sure his name is not in this, I don't feel like he wants to be. Um,
Yes.
but there there's just a level of, like, not even attempting to see me.
Right.
And I think that's because my pain is not visible and what I'm suffering with is not something that is, like, not well known, but, like, it's not educated upon. And so
It's not
it's
mainstream
not
enough,
mainstream. Yes.
right? And it's like we're still in a situation where, and it's not anyone's, it's how people have been brought up. It's part of the culture is the word I'm looking for. I mean, how many jokes were there always, like, if you had to ask your partner or your husband to, like, go get your tampons, right? Like, there was still the whole, like, they'd hide them or, where, like, I'm living with a house full of people, it's like, "Go get tampons if we need them," like, right? But, I mean,
Yeah.
there's been shame around us having our periods, so why would, those being the men in our lives not think there's some sort of weird shame around it if they have to go buy tampons, right? Like, if it's something we whisper
Yeah.
about, why would they all of a sudden feel comfortable to go do it? And I think bringing the men along in this journey that especially that we're on together with the Down There Affair and with this podcast and where we wanna take things in our advocacy is that we do bring the boys along with us.
Mhm.
And, it was really interesting. I was talking about the event at a girls' night a couple of on the weekend, and this one woman, she looked at her husband, she goes, "Yeah, do you actually even know when the girls are on their period?" And he was like, "No, isn't that what you guys deal with?" And he wasn't being ignorant or rude or anything. It was just he was kinda and because he was
There's a
kinda like,
level of, like, naive,
yeah,
like, being a
he
little
was like,
naive to it all.
"Should I know? Because if I should know, I'd like to know." Like, it was just but it was interesting that just, like, very simple question. He's a dad of 2 girls, and they're very open, like, this couple was, like, very open about life and the things they're doing, and it was so interesting. It was such a simple question,
Yeah.
and
My dad got thrown in the trenches.
some people do and some people don't. I mean, if my dad was alive today and he probably didn't, and he probably didn't even wanna know. Um, and again, like, my household is filled with I mean, my kids have their mom who's, like, in her early 50s going on TV and Instagram and on posters in her fucking underwear. So if they're not comfortable, there's therapy for
They
that, but
better
we're
get
gonna help them.
was gonna say they better get comfortable.
Right? They are getting comfortable, so but to your point too, like when you speak of workplace, I mean, we work with men, and if they don't get it, how are you getting the support that you need?
There's, like, 2 sides of the spectrum. You have, like, the side where they're, like where people, like, not just men, like, people are just like, "Oh," and then they just don't even there's no, like,
Right.
asking, like, "What do you need?" Blah, 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 and then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is also triggering because, like, I mean, I'm not asking people to dance around me, like, I don't want that, um, but at the same time, there's a level of, like, this is something that I've been dealing with for a very long time. I've been invalidated many times. I've had to advocate for myself. I've said the things. I've said the
Mhm.
symptoms, like, over and over and over and over again, and so, like, when you go to a place and you go, "This is what I am struggling with. This is my health problem. This is the chronic pain I'm dealing with." Like, I'm just dealing with chronic pain. You're not listing your symptoms. And you go, "This is what I need." And they go, "Well, why?" And you're like, "Why don't you first of all, mind your business. Second of all, why do I have to, like, explain to you to the nth degree what I'm experiencing just for you to be accommodating?"
Right.
Because if it was anybody else, you wouldn't have. Like, if I went and
Right.
got, like, my appendix removed, you'd be like,
Right.
"Yeah, take the week off."
Right.
But, like, I'm out here being like, "I literally physically can't get out of bed today. I'm
Right.
still willing to show up for you.
Mhm.
Can I do it from home?"
Right.
And they're like, "Why?" And you're
Right.
like, I don't have to tell you."
Right. And if I didn't wanna be employed, I would tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yes.
Why? Let me show you. Here are 2 fingers. Like, fuck
And, like
off.
and then there's just a level of I mean, I could just be blatantly honest with them and be like, "I've been pooping for, like,
Could you
hours."
imagine? Like, but why not? Like, part of me and just, like, again, who I am, which is why we're here and in this bold of a moment, um, is like, I would love that. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's just
Like,
and
I'm
part of that
bleeding
is
a
just
lot.
Right, like, I
I
don't know
I
that
wanna
I'm gonna
throw up all the food I'm eating.
and you know what? I might sit on my chair in a puddle of blood by the time I get up because there's no amount of tampons I can wear or pads or diapers that can keep it all in. So if you'd like me to come to the office, absolutely. I'm on my way. On my way.
But I'm gonna sit in my chair like this.
I was like, with like, or how about I just come to the office, but I'm just gonna
Gonna
sit in
sit
the
like
back.
this the whole time,
Exactly.
like a little owl on a little
Right?
perch.
Right? Like
Or
sit on like huddled, like in fetal position, just sitting up.
well, like, there's no one talks about the inflammation of everything, like, you dress codes are fucking bullshit.
Mhm.
Like, I've been told, like, I had to wear jeans, and I was like, "Fuck you, no." I didn't
Right.
actually say that, but I was just like,
I can't
"It's
wait
not
until you
happening."
do. I'm
I
gonna
was
be
like,
there.
It's not happening," and they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "No, like,
I can't.
I physically can't wear jeans and sit for, like, 6 hours." Like, I have so much pelvic pain
Yeah.
and inflammation that, like, that would make me feel very ill. Like,
Right.
I think, like, people look at that as an excuse, and it's like, "No, like, I'm being so legitimate." Like, it sounds so simple, but why is it so, like, out of the scope of understanding?
It's interesting you bring up the clothing and because I was speaking with my sister about this and, she's a VP at a very large global company, and they were at one of their, like, huge, big sales kickoff type meetings, or something, big, and there was a white party. I've even hosted a white party, and I didn't even I hadn't thought about it, and she brought up the fact that one of her colleagues was struggling with, something very personal, which would cause her to potentially bleed through her clothing, and so white was not an option for her, and she almost thought about not going to this work event because she had to wear white pants, and my sister's like, "Fuck that, we're wearing jeans." She's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wear dark pants with you. I'm not letting you go by yourself." And Regan's like, "I'm sure there was tons of judgment or people." She's like, "People judge and they don't say anything." But it really all of a sudden it made me think, and as did your just comment about like the things that we make people wear to like as an event planner. I'm like, "Oh fuck, I don't know that I would ever host an all white party ever again."
Yeah.
Right? Like it just or in consideration of or what that like that consideration all the way down to the pants that we wear, given the illness, is a consideration.
Yeah.
And to your point, to be asked why is a big slap in the face.
And it's like, would you rather me, like, not come to work and like, wouldn't you, like, just say you don't care so then I come to work and do the work? Like,
Right,
I'm not saying I don't wanna do the work. Like, I'm gonna
right.
come and I'm gonna push through the pain and do the work, but I wanna do it in a pair of pants that are comfortable for me.
Without having to explain to you why I'd like to wear these pants today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, but then where do you go to fill out an FAF form?
What's an FAF form?
Like, when you work in corporate, like, a lot of the
Oh,
times they have an HR where you fill out, like, a form, it's called an FAF form. I don't know if that's the actual word for it, so
okay.
don't hold me on that. But you fill out basically, you fill out a form, you take
Like,
it to your doctor signs it and
oh,
says,
so it's
like,
gonna be okay if you wear black stretchy pants to work because you have endometriosis and PCOS and you might bleed through your
"Because your
clothing?
doctor signed it, because your doctor." Yes.
Because you're not an expert in your own body and health.
Yes. So, basically, it's fine if you fill out a form and you submit the form because your doctor approves you to have accommodations. Basically, it's accommodation form that has to be signed off by a doctor to prove legitimacy.
Wow.
So, it's like, what I have to fill out one of those forms. Okay, you want me to take it to the doctor that's not listening to me about my
Right.
symptoms?
Right.
Fuck.
Yep.
Like, what?
Like, what? Thank you. Yep.
Like, it's like banging
What
your head
the fuck?
against a wall over and over and over again.
Right, and that's just adding to the fucking pain because now your head hurts because everything
Yeah.
else does all the way up to your shoulders, so why fucking not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Um, Nat,
Yes.
You're an incredible human being.
Thanks. And I feel like
And
this is
I'm
going forever. I feel like we could talk forever.
I feel like we can, and I just want to really acknowledge your bravery and your courage to have this conversation with me today. I want to really acknowledge the pain that you've lived in and lived with, because I see it and I feel it and I hear it. It's not mine, it's yours.
Mhm.
And I am so sorry. And I am really hopeful that someone's going to help you and that you're going to get the care that you need. And you're actually not alone. And I know you know that. However, you're alone in what you have to go through because it's your body and it's the doctor's not listening to you. And I know that someone is going to listen to this conversation and they're going to feel seen. And so
I hope
thank you.
so. That's all I care about.
I know
I'd
that.
rather have the hard conversation and say the vulnerable things that might be embarrassing or but I don't have shame around that because if I say these things, then I'm opening a platform for other women to, like, feel, like, empowered to talk about it. So, that's all that matters to me.
And you've done that. You just, when 0 to 180, 0 to 3,000, this won't this won't be the last time that you and I have a conversation on this podcast.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
won't be the last time our audience hears from Nat Jensen. They might actually replace me with you at some point. Like, I might
I
just
hope
age
not.
out.
You're
Or we're
the
just gonna
best.
co-host because this is so much fun.
This is
Um,
fun.
but Natalie B, it's not a but. I didn't even mean to say that. Natalie, this is huge, and you, have been silenced for so long, and you are way too smart and way too fucking epic to be kept quiet.
Thank you.
So, I'm really excited I got to be a part of this with you.
Me too. Me too. Um, yeah, I
So,
hope
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that, I typically am better at expressing myself creatively than I am talking about things, so this is a first. Um, but I hope that whoever's listening I'm very passionate about designing and art and all of those things, and so I hope that whoever connects with this in terms of me talking about things can also connect with it on a visual front,
Oh,
so, like, our branding and everything we'll be sharing online, I hope you can resonate with that as well, and it empowers you to feel kind of bold because I feel like that's was Amy's vision, and I was beyond fortunate to be able to execute that, so
yes, what you have done for us with the Down There Affair branding is just the tip of the iceberg. It's like for those of us, who you can't see it, but my nails are, like, in the colors and, they've got the branding because 'cause I'm a big fan of, like, live the brand, hence why we wear underwear when we interview and all the things.
yes.
But Natalie, you are an incredible designer and you're just really, like, unstoppable, and I know that all of this is just gonna add to that
Mhm.
unstoppability of you and the creativity. It was an honor to ask you, to be a part of this and to be on this team that's bringing the Down There Affair to Toronto and then worldwide because we don't do things small around here.
No, we
Um,
don't.
we're just gonna keep making this bigger and louder and bolder, and,
Yeah.
um, I can't wait. We're just at the beginning. And so
Mhm.
you, were very kind to say you would love for people to reach out to you. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, I will put them in the show notes, but how would you best want someone to send you a note if someone wanted to reach out?
Yeah, so, I have my art platform, which is Remy.collective on Instagram.
Great.
I have been slowly populating it. It's not something that I've been doing a lot of, because I've been struggling with my health. I'll be really transparent
Yep.
that being creative and showing up for specific responsibilities, especially when I work a full-time job and run my small business outside of working full-time.
Mhm.
It does make things hard, but I will be starting to populate it more. So if you kind of like the artwork or you want to follow along, I will be posting down there fair stuff on there as well.
Yep.
So if you want to connect that way, creativity wise, or even just to chat with me about your pain.
Yep.
So yeah,
'Cause you're open to it, and now you're
yeah,
really open to it because you said yes to me and you joined me on the Down There Wear
yes,
podcast,
yes.
and thank
I
you for
have
investing your time with me.
no problem. I also have a personal page too. So I mean, it's not private. I probably won't make it private anytime soon. But it's Natalie.Ray. So
Okay.
if you want to take a look at that too, you can.
Great, and we'll drop all that in the show notes. So, Natalie, any last words for our audience?
Um, Doing the hard things can be really scary, and even more scary on top of the pain that's really confusing that you might be experiencing. And so, if there's anything that I can say to you is just don't let the imposter syndrome get in the way of you, your life, your pain, anything. Um, Take a chance on yourself, advocate for yourself, write books, like log all of your symptoms.
Yep.
Um, it's harder to talk about things when you've been dealing with the pain, but by doing it, I hope you realize that you're able to help yourself and also help others. And please, 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 if you resonated with anything we talked about today, come to our event in Toronto. It's going to be amazing. Come talk to us. Come talk to other women that have been through it. This is a small piece of the puzzle. This podcast is in
Yep.
connecting the dots, starting conversations, all the things that are important in making change. And so
Yep.
that event is where we actually will fundraise to put money towards women
Yep.
and women's health. And so by showing up to that, you are then directly impacting women. And so we can talk all we want, we can have these conversations all we want, but showing up to that event and supporting the pod, supporting us on socials, telling your friends, all of these things, like get inspired, get excited. Like pain is serious. And so let's take it seriously and have fun fucking doing it.
Let's do it.
So yeah,
Drop.
let's
There's
do
the
it.
mic drop, everybody. Mic drop. Natalie, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thanks for getting loud with us today on the Down There Wear podcast. If this conversation resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you never, ever miss an episode. And leave us a review. It would help us reach more women who've been told to suffer in silence. And here's the thing, awareness isn't enough. We need action, we need funding, we need change. That's where the Down There Affair comes in. We're a global peer-to-peer fundraising movement putting menstrual health center stage, from menstruation to menopause and everything in between. Diseases affecting men receive twice the funding of those affecting women. Only 11% of research dollars go to women's health. We're here to change that. Visit downtherewhere.org to register for our next walk, start fundraising, or join the movement. We can't do this alone. Oh, and follow us on social at the Down There Affair, because this conversation doesn't stop when the episode ends. Whether you're dealing with your own health journey, supporting someone who is, or ready to demand the care we all deserve, you're in the right place. Getting uncomfortable is where change happens, and we're never going back. I'm Amy Milne. Stay loud.
Oh, that was binge worthy.